I used to think that building the house, roofing it, painting and doing all your electrical fittings is going to be the end of all the costs that you are going to face when you're putting up a building project. I just moved into my building project after 4 years and there are additional costs that I'm seeing. In this video, we are going to look at what the experience has been moving from closer to town where I work to a bit far away, the cost involved, the lessons I've learned, the good, the bad, what the expectations were before I moved in, and what the actual reality is. And then I also get perspectives from my family coming up next. So I made sure to write down all the things that I experienced as we were moving in. So I'm just going to share my thoughts with you. Many people in Ghana are only going to be able to buy like lands pretty far away from the outskirts. Many of the community, when they show us their site plans and they show us their building projects, you can see that where they are building at is mostly developing areas. And in these places, they could be like one house here and the next proper house which is developed could be maybe 100 meters or 200 meters away. And so you can tell there's significant distance between the developed and completed houses. What that presents is usually between the house you are moving in and the next house where people live, there's a lot of bushes around, right? Lots and lots of bushes. Now, where there are bushes, there are snakes. And when you haven't moved in yet, sometimes when you are building, you might see a snake or two. And then when you start living in, you cooking attracts ants and lizards and mice, and you see where I'm going, snakes. And so when we moved in, within the first 2 days, we saw 2 snakes. The first one guy who was helping to move our stuff saw it close to the staircase and then killed it. The next one, I was opening the gate and then this snake was like hiding behind the gate. And because it's a sliding gate, the gates passed over it and divided it into 2. So it was pretty scary. And then the next day, I saw that our electric fence had killed one snake and it was stuck on it, as you are seeing in the video right now. It's not just snakes that you are going to see. In any new area, like the ecosystem used to exist peacefully, like you see things like wall geckos and ants. Ants especially, because they were living on this dry rocky place and then all of a sudden they can smell delicious food. Hey, you leave like maybe food on the kitchen counter. It's not like leftover food, or maybe you cooked, you left it on the kitchen counter. You are moving things to the dining table and by the time you realize ants, thousands of ants are over there. That was my personal experience. And when we had the live, somebody mentioned something and I realized, yes, I didn't do that. Fumigation. You need to do a lot of fumigation when you're moving to a new place because the animals were living there freely and then you came here. So if you want to move the animals away, then you need to fumigate. Fumigate against flies, against mosquitoes, against ants, and then against the creepy crawlies. There are lots of bugs, especially where I built at. So you're going to see millipedes, plenty, like lots of creepy crawlies, so you need to generally fumigate. And then worms, oh goodness, there are worms as big as snakes. I'll take some videos and show you. Right? So yeah, fumigation is really key before you move in. Unless, of course, you are building where it's in the middle of town and, you know, like proper town. So if you are building in Accra, places like cantonments, Laboni and things like that, those places are well-developed settlements that people have lived in for years. And so you don't have some of these issues, but other people have experienced different forms, right? So the bugs, the ants, and the snakes are the things that you need to look out for once you are moving into your own space. Comment below and let me know what your experience has been with ants, mosquitoes, flies, snakes, and stuff. And speaking about that, and our WhatsApp community group, right? People were so concerned about snakes, especially when their walls are not smooth. So people don't want to do graffiato or even do cement spraying on their walls because it gives a rough surface for snakes to climb. But yeah, I think I was impressed when the electric fence killed the snake because before I turned on the electric fence, when I was still building, there was a day when I came and I realized the snake had shed its skin on the wires of the electric fence. So having an electric fence can also serve this dual purpose. You are going to see the true issues in your house when you actually move in. Some of us are like perfectionists. We want to get everything perfect before we move in and all that. But when you move in, you actually see, oh, so this rain gutter I did, it leaks a little bit, right? Like you would see. I can give you several examples, right? So it's when I moved in that I saw all these snakes and ants and stuff, right? That's when you're coming to site, you don't see these ants. Then it's when you move in that you see the real things that you need. So before you move in, you could say, okay, I am buying like welcome mat. But once you move in and you see the nature of the steps, how you interact with it, whether it's you buy rough tiles for your staircase, right? Or terrazzo. But you notice that maybe when it rains, within the area, the kind of rain that falls, it's very slippery. The rain itself is slippery. Even on rough surfaces, it's slippery. So then you buy different kinds of mats, right, for the entrance, exits, and other places. I hope you get the idea. So this is an example of a mat that I purchased for the entrances, and it's really helped. The previous ones that we bought, which were like the cloth type of mats, right? Those ones, because of the dust and the soil and things like that, they easily get dirty. But when you purchase this ones with the fiber and all these things, it lasts better. So once you move in, you would actually see what the true issues are. Another one I saw was like the wall geckos. They'll defecate everywhere and stuff like that. And like I said, fumigation helps to solve this particular issue. Then another one we saw was, okay, we moved in, garbage disposal, right? You realize that in this area, there are no garbage trucks that come. So you need to have a plan for garbage disposal. And that's one of the things that you actually need to consider when you move. Another thing I noticed when I moved in was the neighbor's house, right? So it's not completed, but he has a lot of trees, and the trees shed their leaves and so many things, seeds onto my compound. And the effect of it is that these seeds and leaves, like small ones, they get blown and then they get stuck under the sliding gate. So when you're opening it, sometimes it's a bit difficult. So you need to be sweeping and then tending to the sliding gate area very frequently. So some of these things you'll not know until you actually move into the house. It was an eye-opening experience for me, right? And sometimes snakes can also climb that and then make nonsense of your fence while jumping into your house. So it's really interesting, really interesting. But of course, then you can go into an agreement with your neighbor to cut the part that comes into your house and all those things. So neighborly relationships are also key once you move in, because then you notice how your neighbors live. Some people shout, some people have allowed their water to come into your house and all those things. So you need to now develop neighborly relationships, whether they are rich, they are poor, because they are the ones who are going to watch out for you, and your neighbor dwells with you for your own safety. So neighborly relationships are also very key. When you are going, you greet the people in the neighborhood and all that. And people will be curious, who is this guy who has moved in here? Where does he work? How come he's built this house and all these things? But you just keep on the low, try to be as friendly as possible and stay like within your own confines or limits or whatever, you know, but just be a good neighbor. Another thing that I saw when we were actually moving was your well-painted walls. The people who are helping you to move, they don't really care like that. So you need to be supervising the movement of things, like maybe your beds, your wardrobes and stuff like that. Some of these items are pretty heavy. Like the wardrobe was so big, you needed like 8 people to carry it. And they will not be as gentle as if you were doing it, because you know how much you've invested into your wardrobes and your furniture and stuff like that. So it's something that we really need to consider as well. So supervising the movement of things into your house is really important, because people were touching the walls and making it dirty. Of course, if you invested in quality paints, you can easily wash the smudges off. Now, something else that you need to consider is how to feed yourself and how to drink water within the first few days when you move. Most people will be thinking that this is pretty obvious, right? You need to eat as a human being. But getting water is really key, especially when you live in an isolated off-grid area. Maybe the nearest supermarket might be 3, 5, 6 kilometers away from you, right? So if you forget to stock up on water and food, going to town to get it sometimes can be a bit inconvenient, right? So you need to plan properly your water, your food, and your garbage disposal, because once you are moving, there are lots of boxes and things that are going to, you know, quickly pile up, and you need to find a way to dispose of them. And you don't want to also move to a new house and be burning things like that. Your neighbors will be complaining and all that. So you really want to have a plan for water, food, and garbage disposal. Now, another aspect or angle that we can look at water from is the water that you are going to use for bathing, for cooking, for washing dishes and all that, right? Because if you didn't do a borehole at the start of the project, then most likely you don't have a source of water, or if you didn't do a borehole at all, unless where you are living there's good access to pipe-borne water or water in the area. Now, in most places in Ghana, water from reliable source of water from like the Ghana Water Company is completely non-existent, right? So You need to make provision for water. Are you going to get like a poly tank or a water tank and let maybe the water distributors come and fill it for you regularly? Are you going to fetch from your neighbor's place? Are you going to get a borehole? Or are you going to find a neighbor who has a borehole and then link it? It's something you really need to consider. And that's why one of the key things that for us, we keep encouraging people to do when they are putting up their building projects is that you need to start a borehole if there's no source of water right from like before you even do your foundation, because you're going to use the water throughout your building project, and when you move in, it's going to be there for you to enjoy as well. That is if the water in your area is good. Some people are unfortunate to get like hard water, salty water and all those things. By God's grace, where I got my water was pretty good. Like when I drilled, it was clean, there was no salt and all that. It was amazing. But there were people opposite me. When they drilled their water, it was as if there's oil on it. It's yellow, like there's oil on the surface. Maybe there's oil. They should sell their property and then get the government to come and drill oil there. But you get my point. So you need to factor in water before you move. Some people will harvest rainwater, but what if it's not in the rainy season? So you need to have a plan around water. And also speaking about water, the drainage is really, really key, right? So how is water going to move out of your place? Really key. If you didn't complete it before you moved in, or there's no gutter in front of your house, or your neighbor is diverting their rainwater into your house, you need to have plans for all these things. Some of them you will not notice until you have actually moved in. Then another thing you may not be prepared for, though you try your very possible best to ensure that everything is working before you move in, is that sometimes some of the switches may not be working, right? Before I moved in and the electricians came, did the installation or the fittings of the switches, the sockets and the lights, we made sure we tested every single one of them. But when we moved in, we realized that maybe just one out of, we bought over 50 different sockets, right? One was not working for some strange reason. I don't know what happened. But yeah, some of these things you would not be prepared for them until you've actually moved in, right? And then also the effectiveness of your electricity system as compared or in relation to things like your electrical unit. So your microwave, your gas cooker or your electric cooker, your water heater, air conditioning, and so many other things. Once you actually move in, you get to know whether the total number of switches you have and the total number of lights and everything is adequate or not. For me, the switches were super important to me because I have the studio space, right? And the studio space has lights, cameras, things that need to be charged. And then also I have a family, right? So the kids have their stuff, my wife has her stuff, and I don't want people to be competing over stuff. So I really invested heavily into switches, sockets, lights, and all these things. That part there, I didn't compromise on it. So everywhere you go, there's a switch that you can use for something, right? One thing that I bought, which now that I've moved in doesn't make a lot of sense to me, is when you're buying your sockets, they have some which have like a USB-C opening in it. So apart from the normal switches, they have the USB-C opening. After I started using the switches and sockets, I realized that was a waste of money because when I bought the ordinary socket, the double one, it was about 100 Ghana cedis. And then it was even less than 100 Ghana cedis. It was like 50. Then the ones which have the USB, I just bought 2 of them. Those ones were like 150 cedis. And I realized, one, I don't use them. And two, each of my gadgets I use have their own rating, right? So power rating. Some are, let's say, 33 amps. The laptops and stuff are using maybe 96 amps and stuff like that. Just having a generic USB port doesn't really help anybody. So I regret buying that one. It didn't make a lot of sense. And I'm glad I didn't buy a lot. I bought just 2. The next one is adjusting to the biodigester life, right? So we've done a lot of biodigesters for people within the community, subscribers and stuff like that. But for me to adjust, it wasn't difficult, right? But for the kids, you really need to be observant, like monitor them. Because sometimes they even blow their nose and then they go and put the tissue in the toilet bowl. Because they used to do it where they were living previously and it was fine, there were no issues. But once you are moving to the biodigester life, right, you don't want to be putting tissues and things into the toilet bowl. And so one thing I did when we were doing the installation of the toilets and stuff was, if the toilet is here, like where my hand is. Then the tea roll is at the opposite side. So beneath where you hang the tea roll is where the bin is. So you train yourself and your dependents, especially the kids, to use the tea roll over here. You drop it in the bin so you don't come back and put it into the water bowl, the water closets. Really, really important. Very, very important, because if you don't train your kids to use some of these things you are using in your new house, you are going to mess things up pretty quickly. Pretty quickly. Then moving the dog was also another hectic process. Oh goodness, Bingo stressed me out a lot, because I don't know how many of us are dog owners and dog lovers, but when you are transporting them, they salivate a lot, like loads of saliva. If you put them in your cleaned, well-kept car, oh goodness, you need to get rubber, newspapers. Dog owners, you know, comment your experience below, because it's crazy. And then even catching the dog to put her in the car was difficult. She won't go, and the neighbors had to come and help to carry her. And so I want to hear what she thinks of this new house, because the previous house, she was just enjoying herself. It had a huge compound, she could run around and all that. But this house, the compound is small. So what do you have to say? So how do you like this house? Tell me, between this house and the old house, which one do you prefer? Here you don't have any place to be running around there. And when we are going to, because you like to run out of the house, we have to lock you, and then when we open the gate, we close it and then come and free you. Are you happy about that? Tell us what you think. You're not really happy, eh? And you don't have a boyfriend too. You don't have any kids. You are growing old. Oh, sorry. Okay, everything will be well. Okay, we'll get you a boyfriend. Okay. Yeah. So one other thing that I wished I did better was, you know, the sloping. But Charlie, at the point where I was putting up the house, I didn't have, at a point we ran out of money, because doing this concrete compound casting alone was like 40,000 Ghana cedis, you know. So yeah, but in future maybe what I'll do is I would break the upper part and then like level it more and use it to fill the side and recast the whole thing again. Because when you park your car, you need to pull the handbrake, else you're going to have your car sliding backwards and going to hit the gate. And yeah, I also like that stone cladding a lot. It helps so much. It really does. And then the design of the windows and all that, really amazing. So share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you have a dog? Are you a dog lover or are you a cat lover? Comment below and let me know. Thanks, Bebre. Another thing that you will probably not consider a lot is the drying line, because when you are building your house, nobody makes provision for a drying line. So after you move in there, you realize, hey, where the hell am I going to position my drying line? Especially if you've done your concrete casting on your compound and all that. Nowadays, there are new technologies where people mount it on the walls and stuff. For us, we improvise, and I like the final result of the improvisation. It's really dope. Now with that said, let me tell you some of the things I love the most about my house, right? First of all, I think that every room being en suite is underrated, right? You don't compete with anybody over toilet time, doing number one, doing number two. The kids have enough space. Anywhere they go, they can use it, right? And it's so peaceful, because if you're in a house where you just have maybe one toilet and bathroom, and somebody is having a constipation, struggling to poop, and the other person has diarrhea, it is chaos in that house, right? And so having a bathroom everywhere is also very underrated. Like, it's such a nice thing, right, that you can just walk into any room, like the studio that I'm in right now, and then you could just bath, you could just brush your teeth, you could do whatever. So in the mornings when you're planning to go to work, you're in a hurry going for an event, and one person is using something, there's no queue. Like, you can quickly move and do the things that you want to do. And for me, that is so underrated. So underrated. So this is a 5-bedroom house with 6 toilets and 6 bathrooms. People say it's a lot, but based on the value that we are getting, I think it's just amazing. I really love it. Another thing that I really like about this house is the fact that it's like 2 different or separate units, right? So we have the ground floor, which has 2 bedrooms, 2 toilets, and then 1 visitor's toilet and 1 visitor's bathroom. So 2 bedrooms, 3 toilets, 3 bathrooms, a kitchen and a hall, right? And then the upstairs is like 3 bedrooms, 1 kitchen, 3 toilets, 3 bathrooms, and a hall, right? And the staircase is separate so that if in future I decide to even rent out one part, either the top or the bottom, right? When the kids move away and it becomes too big a house to maintain or whatever, then the people who are living downstairs or upstairs don't necessarily need to interact with each other. Everybody has their own space and all that, and I really like that. I like it a lot, because many people build 5-bedroom houses and then they keep coming to me that they want to sell their 5-bedroom houses, and when we post it takes longer to sell than those who come with 2-bedroom houses, 1-bedroom, 3 bedrooms, you know. So I did a whole video on why you should not build a very big house, and that is one. So if you missed that video, I'm going to leave a link in the description for you to check it out. Now, another thing that was so surprising, pleasantly or unpleasantly, is the fact that this place where I've moved to is so cold, right? It's crazy. Like, it's so cold, so cold. Like in the mornings, you can see the fog all over the place because it's on a hill and all that. It can be raining here. You call somebody just maybe 6 kilometers away and it is sunny over there. In fact, for the past 2 weeks that we've been here, it's been raining literally like almost every single day. It's just that crazy. It's so cold that before I moved in, these are one of the things that you would not know until you actually move in. I did like provision for air conditioning units in every single room, every room, hall, bedrooms, everywhere. Then before we moved in, I came to mount 2 of them, one in the studio, one in the hall downstairs. Even in the studio, I hardly use the air condition. I've used it twice in 2 weeks. It gets so cold that, Charlie, many times we just have to close all the windows. Like if you open the windows for like maybe even 10 minutes, the room is going to get so cold. Like, I'm so glad I didn't buy 7 air conditioning units, because it would have been a complete waste. Hey, the place can get cold, Papa. It's crazy. And that's another benefit of living on a hill, like on a high-rise area, as opposed to a plain, right? Because where we were living previously, hey, it's so hot. The air conditioning is on during the day, during the night, every time, and we're blowing so much money on electricity. But here, thanks to good architectural planning and design, right, we knew where the air was coming from, though the place is generally cold. And so you don't need, with the fan crowd, we have a fan in every room. We don't use them because you probably catch a cold. Like right now, I'm catching a cold. Everything is off. The air conditioning is off, but I'm sneezing, playing TV because the place is so cool. Goodness. Very soon, people are going to see me and they will think like I've traveled to Canada and I'm now coming and things like that. If I hide myself for 3 months and come, Charlie, people will not be, hey, you people cannot stand again, because my skin will be so smooth, like somebody who has traveled and gone to be in Iceland for years, right? It's so cold. And the view in the morning where you see the fog coming, oh, glorious, glorious. And another thing I love is the amazing view. Like from here, you can see all around you and you see hills, you see mountains, you see Accra. It's just amazing. Now, one other thing that I love so much about the investment I made into this building project, I love the fact that I spent a significant amount of money on the solar panels and the inverter and the battery system, because where I was living previously, which was just a 2-bedroom house, and we're even using a gas cooker and we had fewer lights, right? I was spending between 200 to 300 Ghana cedis a week on electricity. When they came to change the new meters, they changed the meters and they gave us the new ones. So I was spending between, like, on average, 1,000 Ghana cedis a month. Over here, though we don't use an air conditioner, right? Or we hardly use the air conditioner. We use an induction cooker. And that takes a lot of electricity. It has like 5 burners. Each of them is about 2,000 kilowatts per hour. And I'm using a 5,000 kilowatts per like system, like 5,000 kVA system. So it means when you turn on 2 of the burners on the induction cooker, you're using 4,000. And out of your 5,000 means in just about an hour, your battery system will go off. So we rely on electricity when we are cooking, like the grid when we are cooking. And then when we are done, every other thing runs on solar. And we are spending like 400 Ghana cedis a month. And that's because there are so many lights, there are so many things, like there are water heaters in every room and stuff like that. And I feel it's a significant savings that we are making, because if we're using all these water heaters, we're using all these lights and electric fans where we're living previously, it would have been so much, right? We are going to make a dedicated video on solar. So if you are new to this channel and you like the content you are seeing, subscribe, turn on all notifications so you don't miss that video on the cost of solar, the principles of using solar, and the discipline required to maintain a solar system. I spoke about the induction cooker. The reason why I invested in the induction cooker instead of the normal gas cooker, we still have a gas cooker and a cylinder and everything that we're using from the previous house, but we don't use it. It's because I want to be as very independent as possible, right? When you use a gas cooker, maybe a month or two, it gets finished, you need to go and queue somewhere and get gas. Sometimes it can be shortage of gas. And then frequently also the cost of gas, fuel, like petrol and diesel and all these things keep increasing. Like almost every month they increase. And so I don't want to be at the mercy of the government, because usually when they are in critical times or they are in desperate times, they look at the sectors of the economy where people can't do anything about it, like electricity, water, energy, right? So gas, fuel and things like that. And then they just keep increasing those utilities or those bills, add tariffs, add taxes and stuff. So I don't want to be at the mercy of the government. I have my borehole, so I don't need Ghana water. I power my borehole with the solar. So the solar, once I master the discipline and the family adapts to the total energy that we're able to produce, I would be free, or I need to maybe even add some extra panels and stuff like that. I'll be in a better position than the induction cooker as well, so that I don't need to be buying gas. So those are some of the considerations I made when putting up this house. I will be sharing a crazy thought with you before the end of this video, so make sure to stick to the end of the video. Now, people talk a lot about, in Ghana, people are just building concrete jungles. For me, I made dedicated parts of the house for farm and for like a small garden and for flowers and stuff like that. But then not doing a concrete jungle also has its cons, right? Its disadvantages, where you need to be regularly weeding, right? Because like I said, where I am, it's a bit of a developing area, so weeds naturally grow, though it's a rocky area. Lots of weeds, right? So you need to be gardening and tending to weeds and all these things. So you should be prepared for that if you don't want to cement the whole compound, which I don't want to. So even with the concrete slabs I did, I made sure there were gaps in between where I'll plant, my grasses and all those things. And then rain can percolate or go through them and all that. So it's a really nice combination. I really love what I've done with the space. Do you like this house?
Yes.
Okay, why do you like it?
It's because it's beautiful.
What makes it beautiful?
It's how they've made the decorations and things, and the upstairs place.
What did you like about the upstairs place?
I like how mommy has done our bed and how mommy have done the wardrobe.
Okay. Do you like the fact that you have your own room and your own bed?
Yes.
But are you not worried about waking up very early in the morning to go to school?
No, I'm not that worried.
Do you get enough sleep? When you wake up, are you not tired?
I get tired and I'll wake.
So you like this house? This house and the old house, which one do you like more?
I like the new house.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So we are in your office now.
Okay.
How has the experience been moving here? What were your expectations before you moved?
Coming into a new house, having to be in a house that nobody has been in, it's a nice experience. And what else? Yeah, of course, it's a new place. So,
but what were your expectations? What were you expecting?
Expectations. I didn't really have any expectation. I still don't have any expectation.
So after you moved, then what has the experience been like? What are the things you like and what are the things you don't like?
I like everything about the house except some bathroom tiles. Aside that, everything else is fine. Yes.
Then apart from the house, like moving here, going to work and all those things.
As for that, it's been a headache. because the road is terrible. Aside that, there's massive traffic, and of course it's far from workplace, so you have to wake up very early in the morning, and then you get back very late. You have to, coupled with taking care of the kids, it hasn't been easy. But living in a new house will compensate for that. We
Okay.
hope with time the road will be done, and then we can get home earlier than we do.
Okay. And the kitchen?
And the kitchen is amazing. Aside the steam going into the cabinet, everything else is fine. The water flows.
So we didn't make provision for a heat extractor from the onset. So
Yeah. I don't know if anything can be done about that, because in the long run, it will affect the cabinet if we keep using it as it is. Aside that, everything else is fine. Everything else is more than I expected, actually.
what was the experience like using an induction cooker for the first time?
Oh, it's great. It's just perfect, because when you need it to heat up quickly, it does the job.
So as compared to a gas cooker?
The only downside is I don't think I can prepare banku on it, because you don't want scratches and things. But aside that, everything else, as compared to the gas cooker, it heats up very fast as compared to the gas cooker. Yeah,
Okay.
very fast. If you need it to heat up, it will be done in no time.
Okay. But the taste of the food and everything is still
So
the same.
everything is the same thing as you would cook on a gas cooker.
Okay. And the counter and the washing of dishes and all that.
It's great for now. It's great. Everything is seamless. I'll say that everything is perfect.
Okay. So if you are building your own house, what will you do differently?
So we insert a heat extractor from the beginning, because that's going to worry the cabinet. Then I will do probably
whole
do the
house.
same thing.
Not just the kitchen, the whole house. What will you do differently?
I will just not fix the tiles in some of the bathrooms. I'll change them. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah. Everything else is great.
All right. Thanks, baby. Hi, Princess.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm fine.
Good. So, between the old house and this house, which one do you like more?
I like the new house
Why?
because of the outside place is made out of bricks. I like the upstairs also.
You like the fact that the outside place is made up of what?
Bricks.
Like the the stone cladding. I see. Yeah, it's true. And then you like upstairs too.
Yes.
What about upstairs do you like?
I like about the upstairs outside light. They have did it like crisscross. Then they have put the light bulb inside. I like it.
So you like the decoration of the lights.
Yes.
That's all that you like in this house. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. So my final thought, having extra rooms is good, because the house I built, I didn't make room for a pantry. And so in the kitchen, you notice that there's a lot of cabinet space. So the cabinet space was intentional to hold the utensils and all the other things that we needed in the kitchen. But even that was still not enough. So having so many extra rooms meant I could use even the visitors' like bathroom for a storage space, or use any of the other spaces for a storage space. So that's one of the other things that I really love about this house that we put together. And guess what? We are still selling this house because one, it is pretty far. That's one thing that you come to realize when you actually move in. When you're coming to site, you're actually coming to site on weekends and things like that to supervise. And then you have your solar camera helping you with the supervision during the weekdays when you are not on site. But when you finally move in, then you realize that if you have kids, they need to wake up earlier than usual to get ready for school. You yourself need to wake up earlier. The quality of your sleep is compromised and all that. And it's one of the reasons, very far. But I totally love the house. You heard the reactions of our family also and what they had to say about the house. So if you like this house, send me an email and let's discuss on a good cost or a good price for you. Share all your thoughts and your comments and your own experience when you moved into your own house. I spoke about starting a borehole before your building project, right, even kicks off. There are other things that I feel you need to do before you start your building project, before you start your foundation. And we discussed them in this video over here. So click on this video and we'll see you there. Thanks, Bebre.